Pirate versus Prophecy: Can we change our fate? Part 1, Whispers of Rebellion. The Serpent's Kiss, a marvel of repurposed technology and Draconis engineering, hung in the inky blackness between the Xylos Nebula and the shimmering jewel of the Andromeda Galaxy. On its bridge, Captain Razorclaw, a figure of imposing presence even seated, surveyed the holographic projections displaying the cascading wealth of the Omnicorp mining facility on Xylos Prime. His scales, a deep obsidian shot through with veins of crimson, gleamed in the low light. The usual predatory glint in his golden eyes was tempered with a hint of weariness. Another bloated corporation, leeching the lifeblood from a frontier world, Razorclaw rumbled, his voice a low growl that vibrated through the deck. They hoard enough precious minerals to revive a dying star system, yet the children of Xylos Prime starve. Beside him, Jax, a lithe, multi-armed being from the planet Thar, manipulated the holographic schematics. Her 4 nimble hands danced across the controls, isolating vulnerabilities in the facility's security grid. Their energy shields are impressive, Captain. But predictable. I've found a thermal exhaust port near the western perimeter. A precisely placed plasma charge should give us entry. And their security forces? Razorclaw inquired, his gaze shifting to Kara, a towering warrior from the Kryll homeworld, her chitinous armor polished to a razor sheen. Kara cracked her segmented neck. Mercenaries, mostly. Bred for aggression, but lacking in tactical finesse. They rely on brute force. We'll be ready for them. Razorclaw nodded, a slow, deliberate movement. This was their routine. A target identified, vulnerabilities assessed, a plan meticulously crafted. It wasn't just about stealing. It was about exposing the corruption, about redistributing the wealth, about giving a voice to the voiceless. Their recent raids against the Galactic Consortium had stirred something within the galaxy, a ripple of hope and defiance in the face of overwhelming corporate power. Let's make sure this operation is clean, swift, and leaves a message, Razorclaw said, his voice hardening. We're not just pirates. We're a symbol. The raid on Xylos Prime was a resounding success. They bypassed the security grid, overpowered the mercenaries, and seized a substantial cache of vital resources and advanced medical technology. But more importantly, Jax managed to extract irrefutable evidence of Omnicorp's illegal dumping of toxic waste, contaminating the planet's water supply. The data was broadcast galaxy-wide, sparking widespread protests and forcing the Galactic Senate to launch a reluctant investigation. Razorclaw stood on the bridge of the Serpent's Kiss, watching the news reports flicker across the screen. The faces of the Xylos Prime colonists, once gaunt and desperate, were now filled with cautious optimism. Another victory, Captain, Kara said, her voice a rare hint of admiration. They call you the Draconis Devil in the Consortium boardrooms. And a savior on the frontier worlds. Razorclaw remained impassive. We're not saviors, Kara. We're just doing what's right. But the victory felt hollow. He knew the Consortium wouldn't take this lying down. They would retaliate, and the consequences could be devastating. As if summoned by his unease, a coded message flashed across the console. It was encrypted with an obscure algorithm known only to a handful of fringe religious sects. Origin? Razorclaw asked, his scales prickling with suspicion. Jax worked furiously at the console. Uncertain, Captain. It's routed through multiple dead satellites and defunct communication relays. Very difficult to trace. Decipher it, Razorclaw commanded. The message, once decoded, was cryptic and unsettling. It spoke of ancient prophecies, a looming cosmic catastrophe, and a Draconis anomaly destined to guide the galaxy through the coming darkness. It mentioned a place called the Whispering Caves on the forgotten moon of Cygnus Beta, where the Seers of the Void awaited him. Seers of the Void? Kara scoffed. Sounds like a bunch of charlatans peddling ancient superstition. Perhaps, Razorclaw said, his mind racing. But they knew about the Draconis anomaly. That's not common knowledge. He was different from other Draconis. He wasn't driven by conquest or personal glory. He believed in fairness, in justice, in a galaxy where the strong didn't prey upon the weak. This belief had set him apart, made him an outcast among his own kind. They also mentioned an impending shadow tide that will engulf whole star systems and something about the heart of Ethelred, which I don't even know what that means, Jax added, her brow furrowed in concentration. Razorclaw considered the message. He couldn't dismiss it out of hand. If there was even a chance that it contained a kernel of truth, he had a responsibility to investigate. But he also had a commitment to the people of the Kepler 186F colony, who were desperately relying on their upcoming raid against a bioengineering corporation hoarding vital life-sustaining technologies. He turned to his crew, his face etched with a difficult decision. We have a choice to make. We can continue on our planned course to Kepler 186F, or we can investigate this message, this prophecy. What do you say? The bridge fell silent. The weight of the captain's decision hung heavy in the air. Part 2, The Seers of the Void. The debate on the bridge of the Serpent's Kiss raged for hours. Kara argued vehemently against diverting from their mission. People are dying on Kepler 186F, Captain. We can't abandon them based on some vague prophecy. Jax, ever the pragmatist, pointed out the risks of venturing into the unknown. Cygnus Beta is a remote and dangerous place. We know nothing about these seers of the void. It could be a trap. But a seed of doubt had been planted in Razorclaw's mind. He couldn't ignore the possibility that the prophecy was real, that the fate of the galaxy might rest on his shoulders. And deep down, a part of him, the part that felt alien even to his own Draconis nature, yearned to understand his purpose, his destiny. We'll take a vote, Razorclaw finally declared. All those in favor of proceeding to Kepler 186F, say aye. Kara and a few other crew members voiced their agreement. All those in favor of investigating the prophecy on Cygnus Beta, say aye. A hesitant chorus of voices responded, swayed by Razorclaw's conviction and the inherent mystery of the message. The vote was close, but ultimately, the prophecy prevailed. The Serpent's Kiss changed course, veering away from the familiar trade routes and plunging into the uncharted regions of the Cygnus constellation. The journey was long and arduous, fraught with navigational hazards and the ever-present threat of rogue pirate bands. But Razorclaw remained focused, driven by a sense of urgency he couldn't explain. Finally, after weeks of travel, they reached Cygnus Beta, a desolate moon shrouded in perpetual twilight. The Whispering Caves were located deep within a jagged mountain range, accessible only by a narrow, treacherous path. As they approached the caves, a chilling wind swept through the landscape, carrying with it a faint, ethereal chanting. The air crackled with an unseen energy, sending shivers down Kara's chitinous spine. Inside the caves, they found the Seers of the Void, a group of gaunt, cloaked figures with eyes that seemed to pierce the veil of reality. Their leader, a wizened being with skin like ancient parchment, stepped forward. "Welcome, Draconis anomaly," he rasped, his voice echoing through the cavern. "We have been waiting for you." The seer proceeded to elaborate on the prophecy, weaving a tapestry of cosmic doom and impending chaos. He spoke of a shadow tide that would consume entire star systems, a convergence of dark energies that would shatter the fabric of reality. "Only you, Captain Razorclaw, can prevent this catastrophe," the seer declared. "You must find the heart of Ethelred, a powerful artifact hidden on the planet of Elysium. It is the key to averting the shadow tide." "And what is the heart of Ethelred?" Razorclaw asked, his suspicion growing. It is a weapon, a shield, a source of unimaginable power, the seer replied evasively. Its true nature will be revealed to you when you find it. Razorclaw pressed the seer for more details, but he remained vague and cryptic. He only emphasized the urgency of the situation and the importance of finding the heart of Ethelred. After hours of questioning, Razorclaw left the Whispering Caves, his mind reeling. He was no closer to understanding the nature of the prophecy, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. "What do you think, Captain?" Kara asked, her face grim. "Do you believe them?" Razorclaw hesitated. "I don't know what to believe. But we can't afford to ignore this. We have to find the heart of Ethelred." The Serpent's Kiss set course for Elysium, a distant and largely unexplored planet rumored to be the resting place of ancient civilizations and forgotten treasures. But Razorclaw couldn't shake the feeling that they were being manipulated, that they were walking into a trap. He gathered his crew on the bridge. "I have a bad feeling about this," he said, his voice low. "I think we're being played." "By whom?" Jax asked. "I don't know," Razorclaw replied. "But I intend to find out." Part 3, Elysium's Deception. Elysium was a paradise lost, a world of breathtaking beauty marred by the ruins of a long-dead civilization. Lush rainforests covered the lowlands, while towering mountains pierced the sky. But beneath the surface, a sense of decay and forgotten power lingered. The Serpent's Kiss landed near the ruins of an ancient city, its crumbling structures overgrown with vegetation. Razorclaw led a small team, including Kara and Jax, into the heart of the ruins. "These ruins are unlike anything I've ever seen," Jax said, her scanners whirring. "The architecture is incredibly advanced, but it's based on principles we don't understand." As they ventured deeper into the city, they encountered strange artifacts and cryptic symbols. They found remnants of a technology that seemed to blend science and magic, a testament to the ingenuity of the lost civilization. "The seers said that the heart of Ethelred was hidden here," Razorclaw said, his voice echoing through the ruins. "But they didn't say where." They spent days searching the city, deciphering the ancient writings and piecing together the history of Elysium. They learned that the planet had once been home to a powerful and enlightened race, the Ethelred, who had achieved a level of technological and spiritual advancement unmatched in the galaxy. But their civilization had collapsed, destroyed by a mysterious cataclysm. "The prophecy mentions a shadow tide," Kara said, her brow furrowed. "Could this cataclysm be related?" "It's possible," Razorclaw replied. "But we still don't know what the shadow tide is." Finally, after days of searching, they found a hidden chamber beneath the city's central pyramid. Inside, they discovered a massive vault, sealed with intricate energy barriers. "This must be it," Jax said, her eyes widening. "The heart of Ethelred is behind this vault." They spent hours trying to bypass the energy barriers, but the technology was far beyond their comprehension. Just when they were about to give up, Razorclaw noticed a small inscription on the vault door. "It's Draconis," he said, his voice filled with surprise. "An ancient Draconis dialect." He deciphered the inscription, which turned out to be a simple code. He manipulated the energy barriers according to the code, and the vault door slowly creaked open. Inside, they found a single object resting on a pedestal, a sleek, metallic sphere, pulsating with a faint, inner light. "This is it," Razorclaw said, his voice hushed. "The heart of Ethelred." As he reached out to touch the sphere, a holographic projection flickered to life. It showed a figure clad in Draconis armor, his face obscured by a helmet. "Greetings, Captain Razorclaw," the figure said, his voice distorted. "I am General Forelag of the Draconis Dominion. We have been expecting you." Razorclaw froze, his hand hovering over the sphere. "Forelag? What is the meaning of this?" The prophecy, the seers of the void, the heart of Ethelred, it was all a carefully orchestrated deception, Forlag said, his voice dripping with malice. We knew of your reputation, your misguided sense of justice. We knew you would be drawn to a cause, no matter how dubious. But why? Razorclaw demanded. What do you want? We want to eliminate you, Captain Razorclaw, Forlag replied. You have become a thorn in our side, a symbol of rebellion against our rightful dominion over the galaxy. He continued, revealing a far more sinister plot. The Shadow Tide wasn't a cosmic event, but a Draconis weapon, designed to destabilize galactic governments and pave the way for a Draconis takeover. To add insult to injury, the heart of Ethelred wasn't some protective device, but a high-energy weapon. Forlag planned to activate it, broadcast a false flag signal, and then blame Razorclaw for galactic destruction. The heart of Ethelred, Forlag explained, was a device of immense destructive power, capable of unleashing a wave of energy that could cripple entire star systems. Not a defense, but a weapon. He'd been played. Used. His good intentions twisted into a tool for Draconis domination. Razorclaw's mind raced. He had walked right into their trap. What do you say, anomaly? Forlag taunted. Do you accept your fate? Razorclaw's eyes narrowed. He wouldn't let Forlag win. He wouldn't let the Dominion plunge the galaxy into darkness. I may have been deceived, Razorclaw said, his voice hardening. But I will not be defeated. He lunged forward, grabbing the heart of Ethelred. As he touched the sphere, a surge of energy coursed through his body. He felt a connection to the ancient Ethelred, to their knowledge, their power, their tragic fate. He closed his eyes, focusing his mind, channeling the energy of the sphere. He knew he couldn't use it as a weapon. But perhaps, he could use it to disrupt Forlag's plans. He opened his eyes, his gaze burning with determination. I will not let you destroy the galaxy, Forlag, he said. I will stop you. Part 4, The Serpent Strike. Razorclaw activated a hidden beacon within the heart of Ethelred. He knew that Forlag would detect it, but he had no choice. He needed to buy time, to gather his crew and formulate a plan. We need to get out of here, he said to Kara and Jax. Now. They raced back to the Serpent's Kiss, pursued by Forlag's forces. A fierce battle erupted in the ruins, the ancient city echoing with the sounds of gunfire and explosions. Kara fought with unparalleled ferocity, her chitinous armor deflecting energy blasts and her razor-sharp claws tearing through Draconis soldiers. Jax used her technological skills to disable the enemy's weapons and create diversions. Razorclaw, wielding the heart of Ethelred, deflected incoming fire and disrupted the enemy's communication systems. But he knew they were outnumbered and outgunned. They needed to escape. They reached the Serpent's Kiss, barely escaping the pursuing Draconis forces. Jax took the helm, piloting the ship through the treacherous atmosphere of Elysium. They're right behind us, Captain, she shouted. We need to lose them. Razorclaw activated the ship's countermeasures, launching flares and deploying decoys. But Forlag's ships were relentless, their advanced sensors tracking the Serpent's Kiss through the dense cloud cover. We can't outrun them, Kara said, her voice grim. We need to fight. Razorclaw agreed. They couldn't allow Forlag to escape with the heart of Ethelred. The fate of the galaxy depended on it. He ordered Jax to prepare for a direct confrontation. The Serpent's Kiss turned to face its pursuers, its weapon systems powered up and ready to fire. The battle that followed was a desperate struggle for survival. The Serpent's Kiss, though outmatched in firepower, used its superior maneuverability and tactical ingenuity to evade the enemy's attacks. Jax, with her nimble hands and quick thinking, rerouted power to the ship's shields and weapons, pushing the ship to its limits. Kara, manning the main cannon, unleashed a barrage of plasma blasts, crippling several of Forlag's ships. Razorclaw, using the Heart of Ethelred, disrupted the enemy's targeting systems and created temporary shields, protecting the Serpent's Kiss from devastating blows. But the Draconis forces were relentless. They continued to pound the Serpent's Kiss with heavy fire, slowly whittling down its defenses. Just when it seemed they were about to be overwhelmed, Razorclaw had an idea. He knew that the Heart of Ethelred was capable of generating a massive energy surge. If he could channel that energy into the ship's weapons, they might have a chance to turn the tide of the battle. He instructed Jax to reroute all available power to the main cannon. He then focused his mind, channeling the energy of the Heart of Ethelred into the weapon. The main cannon glowed with an intense light, crackling with raw power. Razorclaw took aim at Forlag's flagship, the Dominion's Pride, and fired. A beam of pure energy tore through space, striking the Dominion's Pride with devastating force. The flagship shuddered, its shields collapsing, its hull breached. Forlag's voice crackled over the comm system. "You may have won this battle, Razorclaw," he snarled. "But this is not over. The shadow tide is coming, and nothing can stop it." The Dominion's Pride, crippled and burning, retreated from the battle. The remaining Draconis ships followed suit, abandoning their pursuit. The Serpent's Kiss, battered but not broken, limped away from Elysium, leaving behind the ruins of a lost civilization and the echoes of a desperate battle. Part 5, Unveiling the Conspiracy. The Serpent's Kiss, heavily damaged, limped back to a hidden repair station in the Andromeda Galaxy. While the ship was undergoing repairs, Razorclaw and his crew worked to decipher Forlag's plans and uncover the truth behind the shadow tide. Jax, using her technological skills, managed to extract data from the Heart of Ethelred, revealing the true nature of the Draconis weapon. The shadow tide wasn't a natural phenomenon, but a carefully engineered energy pulse designed to disrupt galactic communication networks, destabilize planetary climates, and sow chaos throughout the galaxy. Kara, using her intelligence network, discovered that Forlag was a rogue general within the Draconis Dominion, leading a faction that sought to overthrow the current leadership and establish a new era of Draconis dominance. Razorclaw realized that Forlag had manipulated them, using the prophecy to lure them into a trap, to discredit them, and to pave the way for his coup. But he wouldn't let Forlag succeed. He would expose his treachery and prevent the shadow tide from unleashing its devastation. He gathered his crew on the bridge. "We know what Forlag is planning," he said, his voice filled with determination. "We know how he intends to plunge the galaxy into chaos. Now, we must stop him." "But how, Captain?" Jax asked. "He has the resources of the Draconis Dominion at his disposal." "We may not have the resources," Razorclaw replied. "But we have something Forlag lacks, allies." He knew that he couldn't defeat Forlag alone. He needed to unite the diverse factions of the galaxy, to forge an alliance between former enemies and unlikely allies. He reached out to the Galactic Consortium, offering them evidence of Forlag's treachery and the devastating potential of the shadow tide. The Consortium, initially hesitant, was eventually swayed by the irrefutable evidence presented by Razorclaw and his crew. He contacted the leaders of the frontier colonies, warning them of the impending threat and urging them to prepare for the coming storm. The colonies, hardened by years of struggle, rallied to Razorclaw's call, organizing defense forces and stockpiling resources. He even approached the current leaders of the Draconis Dominion, informing them of Forlag's plot and offering them a chance to reclaim their honor. The leaders, horrified by Forlag's ambition and the potential consequences of his actions, agreed to cooperate with Razorclaw, providing him with intelligence and resources. Part 6, The Galactic Alliance. Razorclaw's efforts to forge a galactic alliance were met with skepticism and resistance. Many factions were wary of trusting him, a pirate with a reputation for defying the established order. But Razorclaw persevered, using his charisma, his strategic brilliance, and his unwavering commitment to justice to win them over. He convinced the consortium that Forlag's actions not only threatened the stability of the galaxy but also posed a direct threat to their economic interests. He showed them how the shadow tide would disrupt trade routes, destabilize markets, and ultimately undermine their power. He appealed to the frontier colonies' sense of survival, reminding them that they had always been the first to suffer in times of crisis and that they needed to stand together to protect themselves from the coming storm. He appealed to the Draconis Dominion's sense of honor, reminding them that they had always been a proud and noble race and that Forlag's actions would tarnish their reputation forever. Slowly but surely, the Galactic Alliance began to take shape. The consortium provided financial support and technological expertise. The frontier colonies contributed manpower and local knowledge. The Draconis Dominion offered intelligence and military assistance. Razorclaw, at the helm of the Serpent's Kiss, coordinated the Alliance's efforts, directing resources, deploying forces, and preparing for the inevitable confrontation with Forlag. He knew that the battle to stop the shadow tide would be the most challenging of his life. He was facing a powerful and ruthless enemy, with the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. But he was not alone. He had the support of his loyal crew, the strength of the Galactic Alliance, and the unwavering belief that justice would prevail. Part 7, Shadow Tide's Dawn. The Serpent's Kiss, now the flagship of the Galactic Alliance fleet, led the charge against Forlag's forces. The battle took place near the heart of the Draconis Dominion, a region of space known as the Crimson Nebula. Forlag, leading his fleet from the Dominion's pride, unleashed the shadow tide. A wave of dark energy surged through the nebula, disrupting communication networks, destabilizing planetary climates, and sowing chaos among the Allied forces. But Razorclaw had anticipated Forlag's move. He had deployed a network of energy dampeners throughout the nebula, neutralizing the effects of the shadow tide and protecting the Allied fleet. The battle raged for days, the Crimson Nebula echoing with the sounds of gunfire and explosions. The Allied fleet, though outnumbered, fought with unparalleled courage and determination. The consortium ships, utilizing advanced shielding technology, weathered the brunt of Forlag's attacks. The frontier colony ships, armed with makeshift weapons and guerrilla tactics, harassed the enemy fleet and disrupted their formations. The Draconis Dominion ships, fighting alongside their former enemies, turned on Forlag's forces, tearing through their ranks with their superior firepower. Razorclaw, at the helm of the Serpent's Kiss, led the charge against the Dominion's pride. He used his strategic brilliance and his knowledge of Draconis tactics to outmaneuver Forlag's flagship and cripple its defenses. Jax, with her nimble hands and quick thinking, rerouted power to the Serpent's Kiss weapons, unleashing a barrage of plasma blasts that tore through the Dominion's pride's shields. Kara, wielding her razor-sharp claws and her unparalleled combat skills, led a boarding party onto the Dominion's pride, engaging Forlag's elite guards in hand-to-hand combat. Razorclaw confronted Forlag on the bridge of the Dominion's pride. The two Draconis warriors faced each other, their eyes locked in a fierce gaze. "It's over, Forlag," Razorclaw said, his voice filled with determination. "Your coup has failed. The shadow tide has been averted. You will be brought to justice." "You may have won this battle, Razorclaw," Forlag snarled. "But the ideology is not dead. There will be other Draconis who share my vision, who will rise up and claim what is rightfully ours." "Perhaps," Razorclaw replied. "But they will face the same justice as you." The two Draconis warriors clashed, their scales gleaming under the crimson light of the nebula. They fought with the ferocity and skill of their ancient ancestors, their every move a deadly dance of power and precision. Razorclaw, though smaller and less physically imposing than Forlag, used his agility and his tactical brilliance to gain the upper hand. He dodged Forlag's powerful blows, countered his attacks, and slowly whittled down his defenses. Finally, with a swift and decisive move, Razorclaw disarmed Forlag, knocking him to the ground. "It's over, Forlag," Razorclaw said, his voice low. "You have lost." He stood over Forlag, his face etched with disappointment. He had hoped to reason with him, to convince him to abandon his destructive path. But Forlag was too far gone, consumed by his ambition and his twisted ideology. Razorclaw left Forlag to be arrested by the Draconis Dominion authorities, knowing that he would face justice for his crimes. With Forlag defeated and the Shadow Tide averted, the battle in the Crimson Nebula came to an end. The Allied fleet, battered but victorious, celebrated their triumph.